Yeah, I'm just starting the live. Give me 1 minute.
But you all can hear me though, right? No.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Please let me know if Wi-Fi is intermittent a little bit. So if you are not able to hear me, or if you're cutting here and in and out, please let me know. Excellent. Are we ready, Mark?
Yeah, live is ready.
Ready? Okay. All right. Once again, thank you very much, Masters. Thank you for the wonderful opportunity and truly a great meditation. So let's get started on our Friday wisdom session. Today, we will continue to talk on law of one, Ra. So last week we spoke about the aspects as to what the law of one is all about. What was the message? I am Ra. The sixth, seventh density consciousness, the group consciousness that was talking, and how some of the masters kind of channel them, and there are like number of books written in the subject and all that. So today we will take a little deeper. Today's subject is going to be very, very deep subject, and this is by far the most important subject, because this will tell us how we are progressing from a density to density, and how Ra perceives the life that's happening on Earth from every being, whether it is minerals or plants or animals, how human beings evolve and what should be our learning in that particular density and all that. So they talk very profoundly. So we'll try to touch upon some of that. It's going to be a very interesting discussion. Please do ask any questions if you may have in the process, and try to be little attentive. This is a very deeper subject on the soul evolution. So you need to be very attentive to understand it. If you are distracted, you might not as well listen to this, because you will have to be really focused. So the primary objective of every soul that is getting incarnated on Mother Earth is only one: to know the self, right? That we all know. The higher purpose is only to know the self. Now, conditionally, there are two different ways how you can do that. We spoke about it last time: service to others and service to self. Service to others, STO or STS. These are the two methods through which each of us, using our own free will, make decisions in every moment, every circumstances, every opportunity that hits our doors, every activity or event or any kind of upcoming things that are happening, whether they are planned ones or we are presently going through some of those things. Everything, whatever is happening in our lives, we have a choice. Some of them are karmic catalysts, where we have a contracts that we have signed, and then we brought them to Earth alongside with us, so that we can experience those intense kind of painful opportunities where you have a greater learning. In some cases, it is more a pass-through. In some cases, we are helping the relationships, helping the other souls to evolve, and then we do play a role. So in this context, how is that the Ra describes how the densities of the grand cosmos and how the journey of the cosmic energies path go in tandem to the one infinite creation, right? So if I am looking at it, the soul's path of returning to one infinite creator, there is the evolution process. Right now, I am coming down. I actually came down. All of us came down from the one infinite creator. Now we are trying to figure out how do we go back, right? So in this process, there is density. You can also call it dimension. In some ways, third dimension. It's all synonyms. Some call it dimension, some call it density. So Ra specifically talks about densities. Third density, fourth density, fifth density, and all that. So each density represent a distinct stage of consciousness and learning, right? So it's like much like the grades in the vast spiritual schools, right? Like you are even in in the material life, you go through your academic careers, you go through your schooling, right? You go from one year to other year. It is in the similar way. There is also a spiritual school that we have to go through where you are learning. What are we learning? Two things we are learning. In every stage, we are learning two things. The stage of consciousness, and then the learnings that we brought with ourselves. Whether it is an emotional learning, the physical action-based learning, or it is more like a control or identity learning, or giving kind of a thing. A lot of those things are play in this process, right? So in reality, Ra talks about there are 8 densities. The 8th density being the one infinite creator. So we have to transcend from first to 7th, and then eventually merge into the infinite one, culminating in the union with the infinite one. So that is what Ra talks about. In this context, so when you are taking the first element, which is the awareness element, the elements are your 5 elements, right? 5 elements. What is there? The key lesson for 5 elements is being in that state is what is that awareness is. The realm of earth, the realm of air, the realm of fire, the realm of water, and the realm of sky. Obviously it's all about that. Consciousness is here as a primal function, right? At its most primal function. That is what the 5 elements are. Because without 5 elements, this entire process or cosmos is not even there. Right? What we call as Earth, what we call as planet, what we call as galaxy, everything is tied back into these 5 elements. So in a very primal state, these 5 elements make in a significant portion of what that infinite one when he comes down, right? So this is called creator's self-awareness. So in a way, the way they project that is, hey, this is the creators. If you want to really know the creator or experience the creator, the 5 elements in any planet are the best ways, right? It is where your life begins, where the spark of awareness actually flickers into the real existence. So everything, whatever we are talking about as the evolution, as a creator coming down and trying to get to the next level, all of that is happening at this level, right? That is why evolution is incredibly slow, and it is an automatic process, right? Over a very, very long period of time it takes for any complex situations to come alive. You see a lot of calamities happening. Everything that you see happens in alignment or in dependent with the 5 elements, right? We all know about that. That is what the real creation is all about, right? So that is the first density, is how the Ra talks about it. The second density, which is the plant and the animal life, they both are put together in this scenario. Okay, so instead, like in the Newton's or Michael's this thing, when he talks about dimensions, he actually places minerals in the first dimension, and then subsequently the plants in the second and third dimension, and animals, and then so on and so forth, right? So there may be a little bit of a variation here, but from the Ra perspective, this is what it is, right? The second density, which is the plant and animals together, right? And the very key lesson for those souls that are coming in the second density is towards self-awareness. They are learning the self-awareness. The density will certainly include the plants, the animals, the primitive organisms. All of the primitive organisms will also fall under second density. These beings begin to experience movement in some form, response to environment. Whatever the effect that environment is producing, they have an effect. Outside effect has an inside effect. And even social bonding, right? We talk about pets, we talk about a lot of the animals where you develop a social bonding with them, but they do not yet possess the self consciousness. They do not have self-consciousness. That means they are not independent in terms of their own consciousness. So it's called group souls. Again, I'm bringing it from the other subjects, other authors who have talked about group souls. So it is very prevalent in the plant kingdom and animal kingdom that you will always have group souls. There is not one soul to one mapping. One soul, one body is only coming in play in human level, in third density. In the second density, it is all going to be group. So that's why the interaction is much limited. The learning of the self-conscious is not there, but they do have self-awareness. Love, interaction with humans can catalyze a leap into a third density. It is a very important point here, right? What does this density, where is the learning? How do that second density moves into the third density? Is in an authoritative way when they actually are in close association with the third density beings, which are human beings. When we show love to the animals, when we show love to the plants, when we hug them, when we sit with them, when we try to connect with them, when we exchange energy in whatever way, whatever form it is, then that is the opportunity for them to go to the next density. So that's why always embrace animals, right? You don't have to like it, but you have to understand they look for that opportunities because they want to grow as well. From self-awareness to the self-consciousness. That's the growth for the animal and plant kingdom. When you are going next to a tree, if there is a big tree, hug a tree, thank the tree, give that love, take an opportunity to thank for what it is serving the community. Everything that's happening in that kingdom is all about serving. Plants don't use anything for themselves. They always serve. That's why it's very important that there is a bit of a self-awareness and there is a learning that they have to do for them to move into the next level. Then comes the real third density, where self-awareness, which is what we are in. Most of the human beings are in the third density, and the majority of us have a choice to make. The choice between service to others and the choice between service to self. Service to self is control, like we talked about last time. It's all about power. It's all about, I am working towards my own control, my own power, my own, visibility and all that. And service to others is all about love, compassion, unity, and all of that. So the self-interest is not there in service to others. There are two paths for choice for human beings: service to others, service to self. If you are doing self, then you are working on your self-interest, your own power control, your own growth. It is all about you, which is what majority of us do, by the way, that we all live in this society, but we talk about our own family, we talk about our own kids, we talk about our own things, we talk about our own beings. You don't talk about anything outside, right? That is all service to self. It's a negative kind of a thing. Service to others requires you to be in higher density. That's a choice of individual soul to make the decision how you want to learn the lessons. Whether you want to learn the lessons by choice to serving others, love, compassion, and unity, or you wanted to go through your self-interest and control and power, judgments and all that. So this is very important because in the third density where we are right now, every one of us is learning in their own way. How do I know? This is where we are. Every one of us is now, right? So how do I learn? What do I do? Is every movement, every catalyst. What is catalyst? Catalyst is a karmic lesson that is coming in my life. When a karmic lesson comes into my life, how do I treat that? Do I take that literally and then do it as part of my control? I wanted to change it, or I accept it with the unity, I accept it with love, compassion, and I wanted to outgrow it. The choice is ours, right? Though, How you choose that particular choice and what you process within your system will determine your evolutional path, soul evolution path. So it is all about, I accept everything coming to me, because I know there is a greater power that is governing this entire universe and I don't have nothing to do with it. Then there is no lessons that you need to learn. You're already there, right? That's your seventh or eighth state. You're done. But you may very well say that I don't know why this is happening to me. I wanted to change this. I wanted to get a positive side of it. I wanted to look at a flip side of it. I wanted to create or manifest or do certain things to make my life more easier. I am the one making it happen. When you have that kind of thought process, it is more towards service to self. Again, there is no right or wrong here. Ra talks about very specific aspects as to both of them have learning. One has got a fast track, the other one has got a slower track, but both are there for learning, right? So when you forgive and forget, your transformation is happening in a much faster pace than you holding on to it and trying to twist it and learn out of it or outgrow out of it, right? So the goal is to polarize at least 50% on the positivity side, and then 95% service to the self to ascend as negatively, right? So there is a question that always comes out, hey, am I growing negatively or am I growing positively? You can grow both ways in third density. You can evolve in the negative side. You can also evolve on the positive side. When you are with the service to others, your polarity on the positive side is much, much higher. Now, for you to transcend from third state to fourth state, you have to carry at least 51% of positivity. Then only you actually move into the positive state, which is the next state, fourth density. Or you have to carry 95% of negativity within you for you to be able to go to the fourth density negative state. Because you have to remember, out of these 8 densities, up until the state of 5th density, you will have negativity. Only on 6th and 7th, it becomes very difficult to identify negativity, because at that point you are so close to the creator that trying to have any identity with the body, mind, and the soul complex is going to be really tough. So that's the reason 6th and 7th are more aligned towards the creator's purpose and all of that. So that's on that. So with that, you assume that you have got this 51% of positivity over a period of time through your choices and your lifestyles. You have accumulated it, and now you are in the self-awareness. You're always aware. That's why we keep talking about awareness. Patriji talks about at best in every couple of sessions, he talks about awareness is the best thing. Awareness, it is only that awareness that brings change, that brings happiness, that brings peace. Because without that awareness, you don't know what you're doing, and then you may be incurring a lot of bad karma, or you may be repeating the same lessons again and again, etc. Now, when I hit that fourth density, this is more about love and understanding. It is all about unconditional love. You can actually contribute each of these into your chakras as well, right? Every chakra has got certain aspect of lessons that you learn. So when you commit the fourth density, it is all about unconditional love, right? It's all about compassion. It's all about empathy. It's all about unity in consciousness. So there is a lot of learning that needs to happen at this level, where you are able to observe things as they are coming in. You're able to accept things, and you are very compassionate to everything that is happening. You understand the big picture to a point where you are able to send love to everyone, express your love to everyone. The love that we are talking here is not like a relationship love or an expression. This is all about the love as a being. right? That unconditional love, what the infinite creator carries, that's the love that we are talking here. So in the fourth density, the only difference here is the wisdom is not there yet, right? The individual may be expressing love, accepting things as they are coming. They are able to have in even the fourth density, right? The veil of the pain or whatever the karmic lesson, the intensity and all, some of them may probably come down a little bit, but the real wisdom is not there, right? That needs to still occur, right? So the dualistic orientation between the STO and STS, as how they are looking at it. In some situations, you may be STS. In some situations, you may be STO. And how you are balancing all of that. There is still some work that is happening in the fourth density. That's why this is not enlightened state yet. So you are still learning. There is a lot of good lessons. Mostly, there will also be some karmic, emotional, or feeling-based lessons that we may have to learn. Heart-based, learning is also part of the fourth dimension. Then, when you start to learn some of those things, then we slowly move into the fifth dimension, which is where the wisdom and light comes in play, right? Discernment and wisdom are the key lessons that we learn in the fifth density, right? Individuals can go have a deep understanding the consequences of their actions. They understand the big picture. They are living in that awareness of the big picture all the time. The realm of light, which entities become, how they become radiant, the luminous beings, everything that is happening in and around me is carrying some form of light. Love is known to everyone. That is all it is. It's the love and light that is running this entire universe. So a lot of that wisdom based knowledge is available to the fifth dimension beings. And in this state is when we also learn about the infinite creator. You are getting more towards the spirituality. In material life, you are trying to bring spirituality. You have grown more into that spiritual space. You are able to balance the situations. You are not taking sides anymore. You are not looking for positive, negative kind of deviations. You're lessening that aspect of it. You are always balanced. Whether the situation is in your favor or not in your favor, you are balanced. Both in positive and negative polarities, you are always balanced. So that is the fifth state, fifth density, which is the most important one, right? What happens when you are carrying that negative, right? That negative fourth dimension, and you come into that fifth dimension, then you become a very powerful negative being. You can influence quite a bit. When you are a fifth dimension negative being, you have such a great power inside you. You can really influence quite a bit, extremely powerful, right? So that's what happens in the fifth dimension. Then you slowly learn the lessons, understand. That's where knowledge is very, very essential. That's where when you look at it, there is so much of knowledge that is out there. I am not able to receive the knowledge because I am not in that state yet. That state really comes to us when we come into that fifth density being. The real knowledge, everything, whatever is happening to you, you start to understand what is happening inside of you, what is happening outside of you, why you are here, what are the things that need to be learned here, what are your karmic lessons. You will start to identify yourself with everything else. What is self? What is unity? Some of those things, the wisdom based knowledge. So when we talk about wisdom, we have to understand it's a concept of both understanding plus the experience. So if you really look at it from later fourth dimension, even in the third dimension to some extent, meditation is something that we will have to bring into your life. If I want to be in the STO side of it, some kind of tool we have to leverage, whether it is meditation or some kind of prayers or anything that can help you to bring that divinity back into your system and recycle that. Those are the things are needed for you to go deeper into STO. So in the fifth density, most likely you are doing deep meditation. You're already having your own experiences. You understand nature, you understand world, you understand situations. There is nothing that can shake you anymore because you have the wisdom and you have the light. But there are still some karmic lessons that comes to us through STS, self, right? That we may have incurred genetically or ancestrally, or some things that we are passing on from generations, etc. Now, slowly we transcend in, and then we come into the sixth state, which is the unity and balance. The key lessons are imparting, it's all about love and the wisdom integrated together. We understand that love is the highest source of energy. Nothing else is above it. And love is what the infinite creator is all about, right? One infinite creator is equal to love. That's what it is, right? So here, this is where both the service to others and the service to self, they both will dissolve, right? They cannot, the STS cannot continue anymore, right? That is what Ra talks about, where from a sixth density, serving others while remembering you are in the full unity. Because what I am learning in the sixth dimension is unity, which can only be possible when I am in the service to others. So by default, as if you are a sixth dimension or sixth density being, you're already in that state of STO, where you are getting into the higher level. The memory complexes wise and the social grouping as to how you are learning it, how you are operating it, it's all about that consciousness that you are bringing on, the group consciousness, the satsang concepts, whatever you are trying to learn, you are imparting that knowledge to everyone. A lot of those things will start to happen when you are coming closer into the sixth density and then beyond. So entities, every entity, whether I am in the sixth dimension and you are in the sixth dimension, and we are racing towards that unity, the more and more you are racing towards the unity, we are trying to merge with that infinite creator. We are getting closer because we are getting broadened, right? Our energies are getting broadened so that we are getting close to merge with the infinite creator. And slowly, once we learn the lessons from a unity perspective and understand the overall gamut of what is consciousness or what is enlightenment and some of these very high terms, then slowly we get into the realization aspect of it, the phase of seventh dimension, where you are into the gateway of infinity, surrender and becoming one. Now we are ready to merge with that infinite one creator. You are actually now imparting yourself. You have learned, you have understood, you have digested. Now you are living as such. That's where you are in the seventh dimension. Almost at a descriptive level, there is no longer an individualized entity. The entity has already merged to a part with the unity. Is already merged with the group act, group consciousness. There is no individual consciousness at that point. He's already feeling that he's already part of that group consciousness. The spiritual essence is dissolving into the source, right? So at this stage in the seventh density, you are really looking at someone who is in par or at par to the enlightened soul, who have been in that space, who is a walking creator, right? He becomes a co-creator at this stage, right? The only difference is he has not merged with the one yet, right? There is a very little action, just a pure movement towards the creator. The creator will start to, the infinite one creator will start to use this vehicle to make things happen on the worldly affairs. So at that point, this individual consciousness does not have anything to do with the world. He has transcended the role of what he has brought in. He is no longer required to stay in the earthly realm, right? And then eventually, slowly, even to the factor, it's not about earth alone, right? There are cases where, even after you go from fourth dimension, you may choose to reincarnate in some other planet, right? Because you always will have choice as to where you want to take birth. You can say that I don't want to come into the third dimension. In one of that scenarios where I was talking last week as well, Jesus Christ, Ra talks about Jesus Christ. He was actually moving from fourth density to fifth density, but he chose to come into the third dimensional earth to serve as a fourth density, right? And then now he's somewhere else, but that's they talk about that, right? So the choice of the free will is still an option, whether you wanted to come at that sixth level to come to earth and serve here, or you wanted to go to a different planet and do some other service. It's up to the choice of the soul to make the call, depending upon what the learning is all about. But for most of it, there is no karmic bondage, right? There is no compulsion that you have to take a body. It's up to the individual soul on the sixth density to see, right, how they wanted to come, in what form they wanted to come, how long they wanted to be here, and all that. So they have that freedom. And finally, in the eighth density, this is where completion and the renewals, right? You are merging with the one. This is in the raw terms they call it octave, right? Octave. Final density that holds into the beginning. Actually, where you started, you actually reach the home, right? Creator fully knows itself through its own creations, right? So there is nothing much left out. All the cycles are completed. You have merged with the infinite one. You no longer carry anything of your own. You are the infinite being at that point. So like this, return to the infinite creator is how, they kind of talk about it in eighth density. So that's how the soul journey goes on. And every density has got couple of lives. There's a brief talk about, like, hey, each density may take about 1,000 births or 2,000 births or something like that, or maybe 2,000 years or 5,000 years, something like that, right? And this evolution is circular and it is eternal, right? So each being is a fragment of the infinite one, and through each density it gradually remembers its true nature. That's the true nature, right? So that's the reality. When we talk about, hey, first dimension, second dimension, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, density, sorry, you talk about eight, right? How does this whole thing happen? It's a natural and a circular process where you are coming down from the infinite one as a fragment, and then you are starting to learn through each density, gradually remembering your true nature, and then going back and merging with that unity, right? All paths lead back to unity. That's how they say, right? There's an important point that Ra makes it, right? You are everything. Every being, every emotion, every event. You are the unity. You are infinity, and you are the love, light, and you are the light, love, and you are one and the one. So where the difference is coming is when I am coming down from that one infinite creator to the lowest density, I have started to identify myself, where slowly my ego is starting to grow. As and when my ego is, or mind, right? Ego or mind is starting to grow. As and when I see difference between me and my creator, I started to see me as a creator over a period of time. And once you realize that you are the creator and you and creator are the same, which happens in the later part of your densities, sixth or fifth, seventh density, then you slowly start to merge with it. So if we take this into context, right? I mean, yes, I understood the densities. I am in the third density right now, right? With self-awareness. Now, how do I know? How do I go about doing it, right? What do you mean when I am reacting with anger, when I am hurting somebody, when I am becoming more defensive? How do I express love? in every moment. How does this happen? How do I get into fifth dimension or sixth dimension? Is this even possible, right? When I am going through a lot of pain, where is the question of love, right? Why am I? See, my natural state would be to react, right? When I'm going through pain, I react. It's a natural state. How do I respond? Even though when I'm going through pain, right? So this is what we have to look. The law of one perspective, where Ra talks about some of these very careful movements as to how you draw conclusions when you are looking at things. When something is happening to you, how do you recognize? How are you going to be compassionate? How am I realizing love within that pain, right? That is the journey that we are taking. Each of us are taking from that third density to fourth density, because in every density there is a different type of a learning that is coming. In that very situation, your act and response as a fourth dimension would be different than a fifth density or sixth density. If you are at that level, the way you take the same situation, it is totally perceived very, very differently, right? So when I am going through, let's ask, inwardly, right? Each of us, let's ask inwardly, how do I, in an ordinary reaction like anger, hurt, and defensiveness, right? When I'm getting protected, I'm getting very defensive. I'm trying to, bring back my pulses, right? My emotional pulses. I'm trying to get that anger. I'm trying to get hurt, right? In those cases, where is the love in the moment? Anyone? How do I bring that love in that moment? What do I need to do?
Service.
But you are going through your hurt, your anger, you're angry, and you're being very defensive, you're reacting. In that moment, how do you bring love? Because only through love you're learning, right? So how do you bring love? In short, you're going through pain, right? You're pain, you have fear, you're distorted, you're reacting, and yet you need to bring that love. How do I do that?
అంటే కామ్ గా ఉంటే మేము రెస్పాన్స్
Exactly.
కాకుండా
It's not actually calm. What it means is it's a choice, right? When you understand that, how do I overcome, right? When
Yeah.
somebody is talking very harsh to you, it's a natural reaction that you will say, why are you doing this? You probably will raise your tone. You probably will have your own comments. You have your choice of words. All that is there, right? But even in that uncomfortable situation or unhostile situation, how do you bring love? Is even in that situation, whatever that negative, whatever that reaction, whatever that pain that you're going through, you still have to see that there is love in that. That can only happen when you are centered, when you are silent, when your heart centered, right? It may seem like, no, in that very moment my whole system is agitated, I cannot do this, but that is the learning, right? How do I experience love in every moment? That is how you experience love in every moment. Even in the worst of the worst situations, what you're going through, you still have to remember there is love, because love alone exists. That's the highest vibration. You do not see, if somebody is scolding or harshly talking, we do not see that entity as a separate from our entity. We both are coming from the same self. It's just another self, right? If you are struggling to remember this context, that is what is wisdom is all about. If a particular person is harshly speaking to me, and in that situation, I am reacting, I'm going through the pain, I'm not taking it, I'm afraid, or whatever those 4 or 5 emotional or feelings that you are trying to bring it on, even in that moment, your wisdom cannot shatter. You should still remember, even in that worst situation, love is still there. I have to be centered. How do I stay balanced? Is knowing that the other person, whoever is scolding you, whoever is harshly talking to you, is also an another self, right? So this is how you create that compassion within you, saying that, okay, what does seeking love means is recognizing the others as yourself. That is the unity we are talking, right? That's how you transcend the karmic lessons. Otherwise, what happens? The moment somebody reacts to you and then you counter react, you are increasing your karmic lessons. You're not decreasing it. You're not transcending out of that. You're going looping yourself into it, right? Instead of retaliation, what you're doing is you're getting compassionate. But for that, you need to have the wisdom. That's why both practice and knowledge. Just knowledge is not enough. Just practice is not enough. If I want to stay balanced, centered in that moment, in the burst of that moment, and I still remember, because I have the knowledge, I have the understanding that it is the love that is all there, and it is that self that is running everything. What is that? What was it? Anyone had a question? So if it is that love, that is what is running this, then you slowly come out of it. Yeah, go ahead, sir, Dinesh.
Yes, sir. So my question is, like, if somebody is arguing with you, or they're angry at you, and like, if you're centered, let's say you're centered, and the other person may be somewhat wrong, how do you try to tell them, right, that this is wrong and this is right, or you just accept whatever they're saying and just try to uh, make adjustment there?
See, what you do is, in either cases, no matter what may be the other person's situation, right? Whether he is scolding you, he's yelling, screaming, whatever may be that situation, your state is always in the response mode. There is no reaction. You're only responding. When you are responding, you are balanced and you are centered. Because you should never forget the universal truth. I am that I am. Right? When you have that wisdom with you, you know, underlying this entity, the self that is running and the self that I am carrying is the same thing. These vehicles are different. In this moment, this individual is reacting based upon his own karmic lessons. And why should I react in the same way when I can be balanced, when I can be centered, and I have the wisdom to do so? So why would I do it, right? I would just stay calm. And that is where it's a practice, plus it's a deeper understanding. We need both of it to be able to do that.
Can you give them the wisdom though?
You can, certainly, if they're able to listen. But in that moment, if a person is scolding, if a person is already portraying those symptoms, emotionally very high, their wisdom is, their I mean, the intelligence is all locked. It's all gone, right? At that point, they won't be able to take the input what you're giving. You may try, yes, certainly. You may try to respond, you may try to course correct it, you may try to give him that wisdom, but I don't think they will be at a position to take it though. Like, one other, like in the traffic, okay? You're in the traffic in a long queue. What is your ordinary reaction? What you would do?
I mean, obviously, you will watch for the traffic and maybe stop and
you get frustrated, right?
Right.
First of all, we get frustrated and we get impatient, isn't it? It is a natural reaction that, I didn't expect this, it's just frustrating that, traffic is not moving, it's going like a snail, we got to go there, we got to do that. How do I bring the law of one perspective here? Is this movement, that very moment, what you're going through in the system is a catalyst. It is there to teach you something. The emotional, the feelings that you have really raised it, right? In that situation, it's a choice that you can be calm too, saying that, I don't know what, maybe an accident may have happened, or there may be a greater reality that probably is holding the traffic. But everything aside, we react, we frustrate, we show our impatience, and then we use our words of wisdom to say a lot of negative things, right? You have a lot of emotional reaction. You are not in the state of acceptance in that very moment. So how do I bring my state back into that center and balance? Is I take a deep breath.
But
Right?
yes.
A simple gesture of that nature will bring you, see, that is the wisdom. Right?
So what you do with yourself is under your control. You can, take a deep breath, or you can, listen and not react. That is all within you. But how the other person is reacting, and if you try to give them a wisdom and they're not getting that point at all because they're at a lower level,
They won't. That's the
then
point.
then you just stay calm and move on. I guess there's nothing you can do.
That's it. You're spot on. Right? All we have to do is whatever the wisdom that you are experiencing, you are trying to impart to the society. If the society is not at, like, for example, if you are talking at a sixth density being, where you are talking about unity, where you're talking about wisdom and some of these things, a early fourth density or a third density being, they will not get it. It's a natural. The soul has not evolved to a point where they can accept things as they are coming. So even in this case, right, when traffic is, that the frustration, that impatience is naturally there. But how do I grow out of it? That's the point, right? This is a catalyst. Every catalyst in my life is a learning for me. I have to learn. I have no choice. Because I brought this karmic lesson for me to learn and grow out of it. So if every opportunity I am frustrating, I am getting impatient, then where is the learning? So what I do is, how do I bring it back? Is slowly take that breath, center myself or yourself, and then you bless everybody, saying that it is okay. You accept the situation. You remember, the greater truth. Time is an illusion, or even anything that can connect. Hey, this present moment, there is a learning for me. Anything that you are able to remember, the greater truths through your own wisdom, you will start to balance yourself. The moment you are balanced, things will start to align. Because if I am not balanced, what happens is I am increasing that frustration. By increasing my frustration, or I am getting more impatient, I am creating more of it, more of those circumstances again and again. That's the reality. Right? So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the other person which is at a lower level, if they're also thinking in their mind that they're right, because usually whenever there any two people, when they argue, they both are thinking they're saying whatever they're saying is right. They're right in their mind.
They are right in their mind, exactly, right? That's why every situation is perceived by different densities in different way. Every situation, like in this case, if you are in the sixth density, the way you would learn this is, you will see the love, you will see the situation as an opportunity to either practice peace, be silent, and then you say that, okay, I'm gonna say, okay, it's gonna take care, right? If you are a seventh state being, then what happens? But that this very situation, all you do is you just accept it, because you are already in that state of unity, right? There is nothing to say there. Even in the 6th, you try to say, hey, it's an opportunity for me to learn. This situation has come. There is at least little bit of a chatting going on, chanting, right? Chattering going on. In the 7th, you just accept it and say it's okay. There is nothing to say. If you are in the 5th dimension, you try to express it, saying that, okay, maybe this is an opportunity. There is something going on. I should send love. I should send some energy. You may be doing some things like that. And then when you go into the 4th level, where you are trying to even understand the situation, there is halfway positivity, right? You may probably use your negative words initially and then immediately realize and then backtrack it and then say, okay, maybe I should not be saying that. Let it happen, whatever, It's like that, right? So wherever the soul density is and the type of movement that is coming, whatever may be the movement, that one movement, each of these densities will perceive this differently depending upon where they are at. But for every density, there is a learning. That's the point. Even the individual who is scolding or the individual who is getting frustrated, there is a learning for him in that state where he has to stop frustrating or getting impatient and trying to understand what exactly has happened. For him, that is center.
Is there a learning for yourself too? The one who's listening?
Yes, absolutely. As long as there is one who is listening, there is always that one who has to learn. Until you are merging with the infinite creator, there is always learning in some form or fashion. Even in silence, you have to learn. You are learning, right?
Yeah.
I'm observing. So what I'm doing, I'm learning. I may not be attached to it, but still I'm looking around. I'm seeing things.
Yeah.
So that's why it is important. The context has to be brought into the practical situations, right? Like, when some heart broke, right? Some grief happened in the family. How do I do that? From loneliness, from your despair, right? Ordinary reaction is, hey, I got something happen. I got to react it. Oh, this is like totally unfair. I'm like, why is this happening to me? I'm totally lost in this loneliness. I cannot live like this. Again, you are going in that exact opposite way. There is no learning in that. Where is learning in that? Keep cursing the moment. But then why is that I am cursing the moment? Think about it. Why is that I am cursing the moment? Anyone? When I know that I should not be cursing the moment, why am I cursing the moment?
Because you're in a 3rd or 4th dimension yet. You're not progressed.
It is not just that, right? You have to understand. It is also the level of wisdom that you carry with you all the time. You may have that wisdom, but you don't remember it in that moment. So who is winning? Is the situation winning or you are winning in that moment?
In that moment, situation is winning, not you're not winning.
Exactly. That is the reason they said that practice is the best way to come out of any lessons. I mean, it's not coming out, it's more like learning. Only through practice you learn better, right? So from a law of, if I put this concept of what Ra was, law of one perspective, right? Instead of resisting the pain that's coming, I accept in full reality, right? Yes, this happened, right? You understand the pain. You're breaking open everything that is out there. You're breaking open your heart, right? To the deeper sense, to reflect that love within you. How can I learn from this moment? How can I give love, right? How can I express this love? How can I share this love? How can I expand, right? When you start to ask these questions to yourself, you are giving opportunity. Instead of focusing this way, you have started to focus this way. Energy is same. There is no difference in energy. You have just shifted your focus. And how this shift comes? This shift only comes when you have that wisdom. And that's the point I'm trying to make. So it is very important that you practice and you have understanding. Both have to come together. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. You proved your point.
Yeah. So it is very, very essential that we have to kind of bring that kind of thought process in there, right? Now, holding space for your own growth. How many of us are holding space in our own growth, right? Honoring your own, sacred opportunities when you are going through some kind of a emotional, painful things, or some kind of, physical level, you're going through some pain, or you're going through pain, in a much higher level, right? Spiritual level painful, right? You want to be in the top of thing, but you're not there. you know how do I go about it? Is you have to have your space. The situation and you are separate. Your awareness, the situation is happening. If you are aware in this moment, you are able to observe this, what is happening, and then you know how to bring it back, because you have the wisdom. If I don't have this, what happens in that very moment? I get very disappointed, and you cannot get out of the disappointment, because you will go deeper, 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 because the mind is only looking at through my emotions as lens and saying that why this has happened to you, this should have not happened, you have done this, you have done that, you have been there, you have given so much. You also go back into your own life and say, I gave so much charity. You start to scold the god, like it is like, you will go bonkers, in terms of creating more karma for yourself, right? Same thing happens when you are, I'm just trying to create some examples, right? That way we can relate this whole discussion. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense, right? So, like, when you are helping others, right? When helping someone who is in need, right? How do you think? What is the first thing that you get when you're helping others in need? Anyone? What is
So
the first
you
thing?
feel the empathy that the other person needs something, and you could do it, so you're willing to do it.
The ordinary reaction is empathy.
I don't know, maybe.
You see, imagine, right? Somebody has come to you and they have asked you, hey, help me out here. What do you feel? Either you feel obligated, right? Isn't it? You feel obligated to help, or you feel like, superior complex, right? Hey, this I, I have the upper hand, kind of a thing. Or you have pride. Your ego may shoot up and say, hey, now you're coming to me. Now you're coming to me. Isn't it? Just think about it, right? Don't go too deep, but just think about it, right? How certain movements come in our life. These are natural movements that come, right? When people come
But
and
the
talk
emotion
about,
might be different every time, though. Everybody who comes to you for help, the emotion will be different. It's not going to be the same every time.
no, see, that's the point, right? Irrespective of who is coming to what level of help and all that, you have to recognize and balance the energy in that exchange, right? It is very important to understand this. That's why, I keep, I'm trying to give that point for you guys to, drive home, that you have to understand that it is with the wisdom alone that you are able to bring that. Otherwise, the learning is a circular thing. It keeps happening, it keeps coming. We have to understand in that very moment, when I'm exchanging that, I'm balancing the energy, saying that I'm not superior, right? You are not superior. If you really look at that situation, it may be a karmic agreement or a karmic contract that probably brought you two together, right? And then you are helping the other person, whether you bonded that or he bonded for you, or she, whatever it may be, right? You are serving the other self. It is an opportunity, and you are serving the other self. You are not serving as a superior.
No, so you might take it as an opportunity, as you said. Uh,
So
sometimes you just feel like, this person really needs help.
that's the learning, right? That's
Yeah.
why that when you offer that help, you have that humility, you have that gratitude,
Yeah.
knowing that you are serving others, and in fact you are serving yourself and you're serving the very creator,
Yeah.
So when I have this ordinary reaction of pride or superior complex, or I feel like obligated, where are these coming from? Is when I don't have that greater knowledge or wisdom with me, right? I've lost in that moment because I did not practice it. So whatever may be the triggering that is emotionally making you imbalance, you have to find a way to bring it back. I'm blaming others for everything. I'm blaming the situations for everything. Why do I do that? We all have to understand that every reaction is a mirror. Whatever I'm putting it out there, it is going to come back to me. So the more you get this conceptualized in here, and then you try to realize it through your own life experiences, that's when it becomes wisdom. That's why it is very important that we bring that track into our lives. I'm just sitting and doing meditation. That alone is not going to take you there. I just read these 500 books. I got this wisdom, I got this knowledge. It is not going to help you. You got to bring both together. You got to have the energy in that moment, and you have to have the greater understanding for you to be able to bring balance in that situation. You're not controlling the situation. The situation is happening no matter what, because that's karmic, right? That catalyst is happening in your life no matter what. But you are balancing it in that very moment because you have that greater understanding. And that's how you sail the boat. And when you get that, when you are in that state, you go to the next level. That's the only way you go to the next level. Otherwise, you will repeat the same thing in the third dimension. Because we have to understand, if we go beyond the third dimension, again, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, there is no time and space. So for them, soul learning, like 1,000 years or 500 years or 200 years, it doesn't mean nothing. Beyond that state, there is only learning. That's it. Doesn't matter how long you will take. Right? See, whenever you get emotionally charged, it's an opportunity, it's a doorway for you to heal. Right? Choosing awareness over reaction is healing, is balance. Now, how you do it in that situation depends upon how much you practiced it. I know I'm kind of contextualizing some of these things, but if I'm going way off the script, let me know. Because if it doesn't make sense, then I want to come back and then let's talk what Ra is saying. Any questions? Every situation is like that. Every situation is like that.
One question.
Yes.
So logically it makes sense, but if we are not in the, let's say, it depends upon the person who is asking you for the help and what kind of relationship you have with the other person who is asking for help. If a person, new person comes in, the way you respond to that person might be different. But the person who actually him and his background or your relationship, how long it goes, your reaction or response might be different. So again, as you said, being in the center may or may not happen depending upon our state of mind at that point.
See, the center is there for every density, right?
Mm-hmm.
The center that we talk about, love and unity in the sixth density, is different than when you are being centered in the fourth density, right? Where you are expressing love alone, right? But you don't have the corresponding wisdom yet. But you're still expressing, right? The energy is going from you. You're still trying to balance it. You're trying to figure it out, right? For that soul evolution, that is the lesson. But when the same situation happens to a sixth density individual, then he has to have that wisdom. It has to be wisdom based, wisdom and love. Otherwise, you won't transcend. Because the lesson you won't transcend, because for you, you are already transcended the fourth and fifth. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, understood.
So, and then to your point, how is this coming? Means it's coming because of I have an attachment. See, I have a person who is coming repeatedly to me. I have a relationship or some kind of connection, and there is another person who is come to me for the first time, right? If I am seeing the difference, then there is a little bit of an attachment there. Attachment is because you have associated with this individual for a number of times. Doesn't mean that the other person should not be given importance. The reason why I am doing it is why I am attached to this, which I should not. Right? Whether you are a new beginner or you are an experienced beginner, the look and feel of an enlightened master is same, because enlightened master only sees self in everyone.
Yep.
Right? So when he's seeing self in everyone, he doesn't differentiate.
Correct. Yep.
So that's the wisdom we need to get in, right? That's why every movement, whether it is an ordinary movement or an extraordinary movement, we always have to come out of those distractions, whether it is an emotional distraction or a physical distraction or a mental distraction. We need to come out of that and then always be centered. I see, even in the context, right? Any situation that is happening to you, ask constantly this one question: where is the love in this moment? Ask the question.
Yep.
Anything that may come in, whether it is a extremely good thing happening to you or extremely bad thing, or you perceived bad thing is happening to you, worst scenario, in both scenarios, ask the question: in this moment, where is love? Where is love in this moment? Right? Honor every situation or every opportunity, right, as a catalyst for your spiritual growth. Hey, this thing has come in my life. This thing is churning me. It is taking so much time. It is like not helping me. I'm not able to emotionally balance myself. It is an opportunity for you to spiritually grow if you are able to accept it and understand what is going on. If I don't do that, that keeps coming back. It keeps coming back. It keeps coming back. And then we should realize that self is all that is. Always remember, realize the self in everything. Everything is self. Every other being has self. Right? Understanding over judgments. Unity over separation. Some of these things, if we are able to practice it, it is. I don't think it's a very difficult kind of a thing. We just have to be, that awareness has to be there.
Yep, understood. Thanks, Andy.
So in this context, right? So the teachings are more towards how you are learning from every situation, whether it is a mental trauma or emotional drama or a physical, action or anything that's happening in it. How am I learning it? Am I learning it? Am I learning it in a way that I'm able to bring that into my life? Some of those things is how you have to look at it. So the more and more you understand the concepts, the more and more you give opportunities to align to that self, and then you balance yourself. The more you balance it, the more you start to respond to situations, you are outgrowing them. You go faster into the next densities and all that. I'll stop here. I know I've gone overboard, but any questions? No questions. So next week we'll go a little deeper. I mean, for the concepts to go more deeper, right? We need to start to bring some of the alignments and how do we align ourselves, how do we bring structure to the life, so we talked about a lot of the situations. How do I bring structure into the lives, and what are the things that I need to do? How do I recognize a particular situation, a disappointment is coming my way, right? What does this distortion mean? What is it meant to me? How do I acknowledge my free will? How do I show compassion towards self, everyone? So we'll talk about few other opportunities to discuss little deeper from a I would say some kind of practical examples. If you have any examples, also bring it in. We'll talk about it, try to put this theory onto that, and then see how we can really look at it, right? So every karmic lesson is not a punishment, right? It's a teaching. If we are able to bring that one change, the way you look at that, then there is an enormous shift in energy, right? You become the embodiment of positivity rather than being in the negative, right? Because it is very easy for us to make connection to the negativity. When something happens, you immediately tend to look at negative aspect of it. That's how karma is perceived as negative, right? But in fact, karma is not a punishment, it is a teaching. It is a blessing that we are able to go to the next level and eventually merge with the infinite creator, right? So with that, we'll call it a night then. No questions, then we'll see you all next week. Right? A wonderful evening. Take care.
Okay.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you, masters.